What about school? What was your mindset behind that?
School is an interesting one. So, for me to, again, this is like, using brand to promote something, right? It'd been 4 years that I've been making content and really never promoted anything. And when I look at my audience, I make business content almost exclusively, but still like 60-something% of my audience is people who want to start a business, not people who have a business. And I think that's just the nature of just humans. Like there's way more people who don't have businesses than people who do. Just, 9% of business, 9% of people own businesses and 91 don't. And so if we're at 30% or 33% people who are in my audience own businesses, we're 3 or 4 times represented on like overrepresented by business owners because I make business content. Anyways, to answer the question, I was like, is there something that I can do with this larger audience that can help them get started in a scalable way that would provide value to everybody? And so I got approached by a gazillion companies, probably like you do, over the years for the audience and the access and the distribution that we have. And SKOOL was a company that I had been following since 2018. So I've known Sam for a long time. And I just kept watching it, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And it's just like all I heard was good. It was just all good word of mouth because I'm so concerned with my reputation too, that I'm like, if I promote anything and it's not awesome, you know what I mean? Like I could take a hit. And so that company was just compounding month over month over month, just on word of mouth. It had zero marketing whatsoever. It had amazing customer retention in terms of people who started communities, and also member retention, people who are in communities. So it's like people are in there getting good experience. People who are starting communities are getting good experience. And I think that there's a big movement in general, like meta, towards communities overall. And so I thought, like from a macro perspective, I think it was well timed and well placed. And then beyond that, from a long-term strategic perspective, like it has network effects built in. And so even in an AI world, like I think it will do great. And so for all those reasons, it was also something that would work for people who are just getting started. And so that's why I invested in SKOOL and then I promoted it. So I thought it would help the 60-something% that didn't have businesses get started. And also for the 30-something% of people who had businesses who wanted to start, like have a place that's not like an email list for all their people to house. I saw it as a much better option than like a Discord or.
Do you worry when it comes to SKOOL? The one thing that I've seen in terms of a bit of a complaint seems to be that there is at some level this like MLM aspect to it, where I've seen schools that people promote that teach you how to make money on SKOOL.
Yeah.
So like a school for school.
I think that's just going to happen no matter what. Like there's YouTube channels about how to make YouTube channels. There's like, if there's anything that someone has figured out to generate a living, then there's going to be people who sell how to do that thing. And so I think if we chunk up a level, the question is there something wrong with that? Right. And then number 2, the MLM component. So I can break that into 2 parts. The MLM thing is just like, we have a referral commission, which is like not a very uncommon strategy. And the internet,
affiliate.
The internet doesn't really deal with nuance, but it's not like it's multi-level. An MLM has multiple levels. This has one. You refer a friend, you get a percentage.
Like a credit.
Like anything. Like if I refer you business, you probably give me 20%. So like, whatever. But yeah, that's just because the internet doesn't deal with nuance. So that's the not MLM, the single SL, the single level marketing that exists there. In terms of what people do with their community, we're pro free speech, anti-censorship. Like if it's legal, you can have a community about it. If you want to have a community about painting, have a community about painting. If you want to have a community about Facebook ads, have a community about Facebook ads. You want a community about finding the perfect cologne for you, you can have that. You want to have one about painting model cars, you can do that. You want to have about making sick beats. I'm just naming off the top of my head, all different communities. And if you want to have one on how to make a school community profitable, we're not going to say like, you can't start a community about that. Like, how could we do that? We have millions. We have tens of millions of users, tens of millions. It's very big. It's much bigger than people think it is. And so like, either you have to start saying, making this rule and that rule, and then you get down the whole rules trap, or you just say like, you can make a community about whatever you want as long as it's legal. And that's where we decided to draw the line.
Should we create a community about how to podcast or just podcasting?
You could. I'm sure it'd crush.
You think it would crush?
Would it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Graham and I we've been thinking about making content, like talking about production equipment.
Isn't that MLM
researching
a podcast about how to podcast?
But then you have to ask, is there anything wrong
That's
about
why Jan
that?
loves it.
Right. Exactly. And this is a great question is and so what? And what's wrong with it?
I'm going to out myself right here. I think there's nothing inherently wrong with an MLM. However, they're used in really inappropriate ways a lot of the time. but inherently, nothing wrong. It's
inherently,
just an affiliate program.
I feel where it goes wrong is people are deceptive about maybe the practices or the buy-in.
I've studied this.
The deception.
It's so much. It's like I can say it very succinctly.
Break it down.
The problem
please.
is that the promise doesn't match the deliverable.
Okay.
That's it. It's false expectations. That's it. Fundamentally, the vast majority of people who advertise, especially in the information space, do not advertise compliantly. And so as a result, they make promises they can't keep. And so people get false expectations. That being said, do I think there's anything inherently wrong about saying like, I learned how to do this. I put tons of hours into compiling all this stuff. And if you like me and you like my style of teaching, you can buy it from me in this video course. And I know you used to have one. Like the question is, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with education or even profiting from education. Colleges do it. Why can colleges do it and give people zero ROI? And no one says college is a scam. Well, some people do, but the vast majority of people still think college is not a scam. It's simply because they don't promise anything. That's it. That's fundamental. Like it just comes down to that. If you just don't promise anything, then you're kind of in the clear. If you're like, hey, I put together a course on how I succeeded as a realtor. I make no promises to whether I'm going to follow it or it's going to be perfect for you. I just share the stuff that worked for me. If you want to go check it out, it's whatever. It's over here. You can go check it out and buy it. I don't think anyone's like, screw this guy. Now, some people will be because that's the internet. But like anybody what I would consider to be reasonable, no. And I think to a large degree, like we can't listen to everyone because you will have people who are just upset about you not sharing your stuff as people who are upset with you sharing it. And so might as well upset the people who don't pay you.
Vegas Matt also put it really well because he was involved in one before. You know who Vegas Matt is?
No.
He's a YouTuber here in Las Vegas. He's a massive YouTube channel on gambling. But he said that MLMs are effectively better because the money actually goes to the people that are closing the sale rather than giving it to advertisers that are just going to inundate people.
They just take from a business model perspective, you take your advertising, you basically take your entire allowable cost to acquire a customer and say, instead of giving that to anything, I will just give that all to my sales team. And then I will incentivize them to recruit other salespeople so that we can have a continued distributed base. So that instead of having a sales manager who's getting paid a base salary and a small percentage of everyone's sales, it's just like it's all performance. And having the multi-level structure allows you to recruit teams just like you would in a business. Wait, all businesses are pyramids. Are all businesses pyramid schemes? Like, come on. Like it's Illuminati. Like we just say things, but no, I don't think there's anything inherent. Like I think where people get in trouble is making deceptive claims and making false promises or promises that they know to not be true. And the associations. So basically MLM has a bad brand. It does. There's enough negative associations that people who might be otherwise really good MLMs still take the heat for the bad ones. People who sell information and education will take the heat for all the people who sell the bad ones. And so that's the rub. I don't think there's anything wrong with selling education.
It is interesting how deeply rooted that hatred is for a lot of people. Like it is like the most sensitive topic for a lot of people. Yeah. I'm curious, are there any business models that you kind of secretly hate but they're highly profitable? Maybe because they're like intellectually lazy or like just morally lazy maybe too?
No.
You'd say anything?
I very much stand from the position like if it's legal, then if someone is willing to exchange money, like again, capitalism based on voluntary exchange between two parties, and both parties make the exchange voluntarily because they both believe they'll be better off. Now the belief part is where deceptive components come into play, right? But inherently, I don't have an issue with someone I don't claim to have a moral superiority that my way of making money is better than someone else's way of making money. Now, my business might be perceived as more valuable to an investor, which is a different thing. So if you're like, are there business models that make cash flow but don't have inherent value? Yeah, there's tons of those. But do I see that as bad? No. I just see it as different. And that's fine.
So if someone were to take SKOOL as an example and just copy it and do their own thing, why do you think that business would fail?
Network effects. We already have tens of millions of users. It's very hard to do.
And what if that
It's also the details. Why doesn't someone just copy Facebook? It's like they could just copy it exactly. It's like, the people aren't there.
What if there's another influencer who's backing like SKOOL2.0.com, let's just say?
It's also easier said than done, to copy. There's a lot of details on how it's programmed and how it works and what content gets surfaced and what algorithms run. Like there's a lot of details in the business that make it. It's the product is so detail driven. It's all the tiny things. It's not like you could copy the colors and the layout. And there have already been plenty of people who've done that, but they don't go anywhere. And so, but we could say that about any business.